Hi there, this is my chart. It's called Metaphysical Physics. Um, yes, this is a stick to play the drums. I like it. Anyway, I was born into a Catholic family, and when you're born, you don't get to choose your religion. You follow the religion that your family follows. So, as a Catholic, you have your rituals that you have to follow, and we had to do our first communion. I did my first communion when I was 14 years old. And I was very proud because my sisters had done it when they were 7 years old, and I was very embarrassed because I was 14 and I hadn't done it. I didn't do it in the U.S. because there were not a lot of churches around, so I did it in Mexico. And I actually like going to church, and I like to sit in the first benches because I like to learn. Anyway, so when I turned 21, my brother had joined the Navy and he became a Christian. So he came back and he brought Christianity to the house. And he patiently gave me Bible studies, and I was so miserable during that time because I had really bad anxiety and depression. So I started to follow that path, and I converted, and I got baptized, and I started to learn the difference between Christianity and Catholicism because Christians actually do read the Bible, and they do. I'm not going to say they're perfect, but they do try to follow the Bible. So when I became a Christian, it shattered my foundation. Everything I had been taught as a Catholic, I learned through seeing the Bible what was true, what wasn't true. And it gave me a spiritual awakening. And so later on, 10 years ago, I had another rude awakening. And this rude awakening really changed my perspective of the whole world and of all of humanity. Before, I used to think that all people, okay, were on this side. And let me tell you what it is. This is um, maybe what people would call duality. You know, they have good on the right and evil on the left. And I used to think that all people were good. And I used to think that sometimes they lied, they stole, they took advantage of others, and they harmed others. And but I thought they were good. And so I thought they could be trusted. And I was very gullible, and I trusted them very easily. So I thought they were good. And when I had my rude awakening 10 years ago, I realized that there's also this side. I was able to now see the whole picture. I used to think, I didn't even know that really cruel people existed. I didn't know that it was their default to be evil. I didn't know that it was the default to lie and steal and cheat and take advantage of others. And so when my eyes were opened, like I said, it shattered that foundation too. It shattered the foundation. I was like, you could say when somebody falls in love and they only see the good in people, that's all I saw. And now I saw reality. Reality, see the good and bad in people, which to me is very good because honestly, to live real life, you have to be able to see the truth. And I was able to see the truth. So anyway, my chart has, like it has 4 quadrants. And although everybody's in a different stage of spirituality in their life, this is pretty much really like a continuum of consciousness. It's very vast, but I obviously had to reduce it so we can make it understandable here. And anyway, on the right side, you have the main virtues. You have eternity, love, truth, life, God, light, reality, consciousness, and altruism. And pretty much the virtues are going to take their lead from that. And right here in this quadrant is where you have all the good and pious people. Yes, they do exist. No, they're not perfect. No, they're not saint. As human beings, no one is ever perfect or no one's ever a saint because as human beings, we make mistakes. And that's okay because we're human beings. Anyway, these people right here are going to be compassionate, humble. They're going to have hope, mercy, liberty, order, honesty, wisdom, empathy, forgiveness, patience, gratitude, peace, and remorse. You're going to have those virtues. Okay? Down below it, we have another set of traits. And down below it, people still have a conscience, but the water has become murky because now you have vices and virtues mixed in. You have jealousy, anger, pride, resentment, manipulation, consideration, goodwill, depression, appreciation, responsibility, anxiety. So you still have a conscience, like I said, but now you have vices too. So what is the conscience? The conscience is the voice of God which tells you to do good. And when you do bad, it tells you to apologize because you did wrong. Or it tells you to not do it again. That's your conscience. These people right here have addictions. Pornography, alcoholism, drug addiction, gluttony, that's an addiction too. You're addicted to food. You could be a religious fanatic. You're going to be right here. You could be addicted to sports, shopping. Pretty much anything that controls your life is an addiction. Anything that controls your life is an addiction. You can have lust. People have impulsiveness. They have impulsive. They're disobedient. They have fear. They're deceitful. There's bondage. They're gossipers. They're committing adultery. They have chronic depression. They have shame. Up here, you have another set of people. They live in denial. They have confusion, hate. They are controlling, exploitative. There's perversion, irresponsibility, arrogance, psychopaths, cruelty, envy, greed, and rage. So you have different sets of traits, vices, and virtues in different areas. I like to know where I stand because I like to know I know where I'm headed. For me, as I believe in God, I'm headed to heaven. That's my goal. My goal is not to have a super big house or not to have a great title or a really nice car. That's not my goal. My goal is to go to heaven. Obviously, yes, you need to have a job because you need to pay your rent. You need to pay your bills. You need to go on vacation. But other than that, to me, that's not the most important thing. And anyway, so you have these sets of traits, and they're divided because not all of us will remain in the same stage throughout our whole life. Something can happen in our life that will bump us up or push us down or push us out of our stage. For example, you could be a really good person and you have a death in the family. And this death hits you really hard. So you become depressed. So you are not here. Now you have fallen here because you are depressed. But with time, you heal that grief, the death, and you bounce back up here because overall you're a pretty good person. If you're down here and you have a resentment and you give way to your resentment and resentment turns into vengeance and you go and you commit a crime, you kill the person or you break that person's windows or you do something to that person because you're not vengeance, so you fall into a hole. You fall right here. If you don't watch your anxiety, you start getting panic attacks. You fall into this hole. This is a hole. And there's still hope in this hole, but it's becoming very, very weak. Right here where you have hope, now you're losing the hope. And hope and self-worth, right here the self-worth. Here you've lost your self-worth. That's why you're in addictions because, again, you're being controlled by an external factor and you're addicted to something. You have traded God for the addiction. Okay? Right here you have traded God. You have chosen fear. Right here you have traded honesty. You have chosen deceit. You have traded liberty and now you're in bondage. Right here is remorse. Remorse is when you do something wrong to a person and you apologize to them and you feel sad because you hurt them. Here, now you have shame. Now you're sad because you're going to be punished. Not so much because you hurt the other person, but because you're going to be punished. See, the perspective changed. Again, chronic depression right here. You had depression for whatever reason. You weren't able to overcome or heal from your depression. Now it's become chronic. Now you fell in a hole. You're in despair. You're in misery, and it's really hard for you to get back into that stage right there. So right here, like I said, there's a little bit of hope. There's still hope. You have a weak conscience. Your conscience right here, maybe it's like at 25%. Right here's 100%. Right here's from 75 to 50. Now right here's 25. Now right here, no conscience. No conscience. You are right here. You're driven by hate, by greed, by cruelty, perversion, irresponsibility. And so you'll find the worst people, you're going to find them right here. The psychopath, the narcissist. How did I come upon, how did I get thrown out of my rose-colored world? Well, like I said, 10 years ago, I had been dating this guy. And in public, he was really nice to people. He was really polite to me and generous. But when we were in private, he was a jerk. I mean, he was a total jerk. And so to me, like, I started asking, like, why is he nice in public, but is he a total jerk? You know, when we're alone. Because that's who he was, total jerk. So he was pretending to be nice. So he was right here. He was a narcissist. My ex-husband, my children's father, is also right here. I didn't know. But again, he was pretending to be nice. As soon as I married him, he took off his mask, and wham, I got the real deal, which he was another jerk. He crushed my spirit. So, why is this important? Because as human beings, we need to be able to trust. Like I said, I was very gullible. And I need to be able to trust people. You can trust the people on the right. You can trust them because they have a conscience. And for the most part, they're not going to do you harm. If they do, it's by accident. So you can trust them. Right here on the left, you cannot trust them. You cannot trust them because their conscience is weak or they don't have one. And like I said, some people are defaulted to do good, and some people are defaulted to do evil. So, if a person right here, their default is to lie. They're not lying. Their default is to lie. They are liars. That is who they are, liars. And they will tell the truth if they need something from you. If it's convenient from them, they will tell the truth. Otherwise, they are liars. So that's their default. See? People say there's two realities. No, there's only one reality right here. This is reality right here. We would have destroyed ourselves if there was no, if there were different realities. No, just one reality, one truth, many perspectives, many perceptions. Like I say, I believe in God, and like I said, I want to go there. And because I want to go there, I want to know who I am. I want to know what's going to prevent me from going there. And my weaknesses are very easy for me to see. And my biggest weakness is anger. I have no patience. That's why I'm not up here, because honestly, we all have different weaknesses and strengths. And all virtues are valuable. But, you know, if you're not patient, it's really hard for you to be up here. And I'm not patient. I have very low tolerance for stupidity. I have low tolerance for lies. I have low tolerance for selfishness. So I still need to gain patience. And until I gain patience, I'm not going to be there. You know? Like I say, as humans, we can bounce around like this. Believe it or not, you can never go from here to here, from here to ever, you know. Because your conscience grows gradually or it decreases gradually. You don't all of a sudden, wham, become a serial killer. You don't. It's not possible. You don't always become a saint overnight. It's not possible. Yes, it is possible. It happened to St. Paul. St. Paul was chasing after the Christians, and he was having them killed. And he was here, and he jumped over here to Jesus' appearance. But otherwise, it's not possible. You see? And so, psychology doesn't deal with the spiritual world. They again, because they also have to study science, and science has to use proven methods. And so psychology also will give traits to certain illnesses. Psychology calls psychopaths and narcissists mental illness or disorders. They're not disorders, they're spiritual diseases. Spiritual diseases because these people are choosing to live in lies and choosing to be egoistic, because every stage here is a choice. And so we have other disorders. For example, okay, being bipolar is not a disorder. So being bipolar for me is an empath. An empath absorbs the emotions of other people. And when they do, for example, an empath could be in a good mood. He walks into a room, there's negativity in the room, he absorbs the sadness or the anger, and his mood changes according to the room. And once he leaves the ugliness of this room, in a little time, the ugliness leaves, and he's back to being who he really is, happy person. And that's about bipolar person. Now, a person with a borderline personality, they're special people in a sense, because they have one foot in reality and one foot in fantasy. And people who live in fantasy tend to have big egos. And the bigger the ego, the higher up they are. So a person with a borderline personality, if something's going good in their life, their ego's inflated, so they will behave like a narcissist. Borderline people, to me, are half-baked narcissists. They didn't totally become narcissists, they stayed halfway. So if their ego's right here, but if for whatever reason reality hits them, their ego deflates, wham, they fall. But they do not fall here. They fall here, they fall in a hole, because most borderline personality people, when bad things are going on in their life, they want to commit suicide. So all suicidal people are right here. Suicidal people are not here, they are here. So again, it's kind of strange because, like I said, they have one foot here, one foot here, but depending on what's going on in their life, if they're going to be narcissist or suicidal. That's pretty much the only two areas they go. People with schizophrenia, that's another interesting personality disorder. And people with schizophrenic too. They are like here and here. In other words, they're in our world, but they're sleepwalking. And I say they are sleepwalking because, and again, if it's really bad schizophrenia, they are here. They're walking around, but they're no longer here. They are here. Because they're in, for example, we call it being awake. Like right now, I'm awake. Being awake and conscious. However, people with schizophrenia are walking around sleepwalking. They're not really conscious of what's going on. It depends, like again, on the severity, because they have one foot where, when we go to sleep, for me, there's two things that's happening. Your mind is reliving through metaphors or actions the emotions you repressed during the day. Your mind's reliving them, so your mind is distracted by your dreams, but your spirit is awake in the spiritual world. And so schizophrenics are not dreaming. Their mind's not distracted by dreams. They're actually seeing the spiritual world. In other words, they can see the spiritual world at the same time as they see our world. They're in between world. I forgot what you call that, but they're in between, half asleep. They're pretty much sleepwalking. And so we are all going to be somewhere. For me, some people, they don't believe in God, but they do have a conscience, and you will know by their actions. Their mind hasn't been opened up to see who God really is, but they do have a conscience because they do have goodwill. And that was one of my biggest errors in the past, that I did not believe that people who did not believe in God had a conscience, and that's not true. They do. Some of them do have a conscience, and they behave better than those who say they believe in God. So that was great for me to understand. Billionaires. They're right here. There's no way on earth that a billionaire is not right here. You do not become a billionaire by being a good person. You become a billionaire because you exploit people, because in some way billionaires are exploiting someone. They're exploiting their workers. They're not paying them their wages as they should. They're not paying health care. So they're exploiting them and they're getting really rich. I don't care how many computers they give away. I don't care how many money they give to charity. They're right here. Because they have a lot of greed. If they did not have a lot of greed, they would give more of their money to um to their fellow man. So it all depends where we are. In other words, you think what is your choice? Where do you want to be? Because this is all about choice. Do you want to follow love? Do you want to follow reality, truth? Do you want to follow lies, fantasy? And a lot of addictions are because people cannot deal with reality. Their ambitions didn't fall through, and so they fall into addictions. They fall into fantasy. So the addictions numb the reality. And so to me, it's not good to compare yourself to others. We all have our own fight. We all have our own virtues, our weaknesses. We all, you cannot compare. I cannot my weaknesses are not money. They're not food. They're not alcohol. They're not drugs. They're not shopping. My weaknesses are not laziness. That's not my weakness. My weakness is love addiction. And so I have to guard against my own weaknesses. We can't not compare ourselves to others. And so this is my metaphysical physics chart. It follows in the order of spirituality and psychology. And yes, we're chemistry. Yes, these things can be affected by chemistry. For example, your addictions. Based on your chemistry is the type of addiction you're going to have, Based on your chemistry is the type of vices and virtues you're going to have. So we just need to know ourselves and guard ourselves against falling here. And worst of all, falling there. So thank you for listening.